Yep. All right. In the one in C, they said that we did not meet that their topicality argument for the engagement. They said that you had to talk with the government, and while our plan obviously does that, considering that we are going to talk with Cuba, and we're going to talk with Cuba to lift the embargo and everything. And so obviously that means that we meet their definition onto the counterplan flow. We're going to permit pretty much, well, I don't see why it can't make it better. I mean, obviously it's going to improve relations between us and Cuba and make them like us more for asking what they wanted us to do with it. And then onto the Brazil counterplan, this had, it's China's influence in Brazil is strong. Strategic partnership proves Cardoso 2012. Brazil is China's most important partner in Latin America, and China surpassed the USA to become Brazil's top trading partner. This represented a significant change in Brazil's economic relations with the U.S., since the USA has been its most important economic partner. For more than 18% of Brazil's exports go to China, even if the more relevant fact is that 56% of Brazilian trade surplus results from trade with China. 40% of all soybeans that China imports comes from Brazil, as well as 20% of its iron ore. Besides their economic interdependence, the partnership between China and Brazil is strategic because they both consider it essential to realize particular common goals, namely the broader reform of the international system. This reform would allow fast-growing economies like Brazil and China to have more power in the decision-making process of international organizations. The partnership between China and Brazil has also gained strategic meaning because of its potential impact on the international system. Impact is necessary to recall the indicators suggested by Rowdy. Power, purpose, and practice. If we look at Brazil and China, it is possible to observe that they have been increasing their material capabilities. China is currently the second largest economy in the world, and Brazil is the seventh. The two countries have a common transformative vision of global politics. They both envisage a multipolar world where developing countries have a bigger role in global government. This is pretty much saying that because China and Brazil are two important trading partners, we can use our hedge with China to make sure that Brazil still likes us, and no matter what, we don't anger them too much to where they want to do anything. And then the Cuban embargo has categorically failed. It only functions as a lightning rod that secures Castro's popularity. Chapman, 2013. The U.S. embargo of Cuba has been in effect since 1962 with no end in sight. Fidel Castro's government has managed to outlast Soviet Union and 10 American presidents. The boycott was created to solve a problem. The existence of a communist government 90 miles off our shores, it failed to solve that problem, but its failure is taken as... The Cuba decide. Sorry. There you go.
Did he say that?
No. On the Cuba decide. That's what this is going on. If there's any lesson to be drawn, it's that the economic quarantine has been either one, grossly ineffectual, or two, positively helpful to the regime. Economic sanctions almost never work. Iraq under Saddam Hussein, nope. Iran, nope. Still waiting, North Korea. Don't make me laugh. We have so little help in trying to apply the squeeze. Even if starving the country into submission could work, Cuba hasn't starved and it won't anytime soon. The boycott has been the best thing that has ever happened to the Castro brothers, providing them with a scapegoat for the nation's many economic ills. The implacable hostility of the Yankee imperialists also serves to align the Cuban nationalism with Cuban communism. Even Cubans who don't like Castro may not relish being told what to do by the superpower next door. And economic isolation only helps Castro regime. Johnson 2010. The U.S. has had more normal trade relations with many countries just as problematic, if not more so, than Cuba, including China, Vietnam, and even the Soviet Union. In an era of global economic integration, maintaining strong economic relations with other countries is vital to growing the economy. The rest of the world has recognized that Cuba does not pose a threat and has normalized trade relations, leaving the U.S. alone puts them in position with the embargo. By blaming the U.S. for Cuba's lack of economic prosperity and using the embargo as a scapegoat, Cuba's leadership has the lead responsibility for the poor standard of living on the island and routinely portrays the U.S. as an oppressor of the Cuban people. Cuba has the potential to be a sizable market for the U.S. goods should the embargo come to an end. Despite all trade restrictions, the U.S. exported $710 million worth of food to Cuba in 2008, making the U.S. Cuba's largest food supplier. Expanding the agricultural trade and travel between the U.S. and Cuba would result in a $365 million increase sales in the U.S. goods in Cuba and create 6,000 new jobs in the U.S. And onto the China disad. Knowing China isn't even interested in Cuba. Anderson and David Howe, 2011. Cuba established economic relations with the PRC in 1960 when Cuba decided to strengthen its alliance with the USSR, and as the relations between the two communist powers deteriorated, Cuba no longer serves China interests. China turned back to Mexico as an outpost for its foray into Latin America. Today, these academics and diplomats have the core factors influence Chinese strategy toward the region. And now on to case. On the multi-alt causes, well, although all those things are obviously a problem with the relations, all of ours outweigh theirs. I mean, with us giving them money, like bringing money into the Cuban economy and into the American economy, we'll not so much as forget, but we'll forgive what they've done with the Guantanamo, or not Guantanamo Bay, but just all the bad things they've done to us. And yeah, that's it. Yes, right now, Jacques back. What'd you like the name of it?
How do you meet? Where in your plan does it talk about direct talks with Cuba?
Well, we're parting your counterpart. That is direct. That means that we're going to talk between Cuba and Brazil.
This counterplan doesn't.
Yes, it does.
How does the counterplan talk with Brazil?
It says that we are going to allow Brazil to make minor modifications to the.
Okay, where does it say anything about talking to Cuba?
Talking to Cuba, it says we say that here. It says that we will. Yeah, I'll actually pull it.
Okay, on to the Chapman 13 card that you read on. Or first, the Cardoso 12 card about the China's influence in Brazil is strong. How does that apply to anything?
Like I said, I mean, if we've got quite a good pull with China, and China's got a big pull with Brazil, we could use our pull with China to make sure that Brazil still stays happy. And I mean, after the Snowden incident, where Snowden released all this stuff that the U.S. was doing, it will.
But how does China? What does China have to do with it?
Like I said, we're going to use our pull with China to pull with Brazil, so that way we're keeping everybody. U.S.'s pull because.
So it's a friend of a friend.
What?
Friend of a friend.
Yeah, friend of a friend. There you go.
I still don't understand. Can you explain that a little more?
Like by us being friends with China so well, because we're obviously major trading partners, and Brazil and China's major trading partners, we can keep Brazil happy no matter what, because of our great power with China, of our great influence with China.
What about the card you read on the Cuba, the Chapman 13, the embargo's failed? How does that apply to the dissent?
Because it says that, let me pull it up. Yeah. Yes, relations are Wait, what was the question again?
How does it apply?
You said that it strengthens the softening sanctions, which strengthens the regime. It strengthens the Cuban regime. Well, that's actually wrong because this card is saying that the economic embargo was actually the best thing for the regime because it gives them an escape route to where they say, oh, it's not our fault that the Cuban economy and people are in such bad conditions. It's the U.S. It's the U.S.'s fault because they've continually put us down and won't let it, and we're not having the trading partner available that we can use to pull everybody out of.
Cool.